Couch feels great.
All right. Today we have the goat, right? You know what that means now, Butch?
I know what it means now. It's not bad.
You thought it was bad at first.
I thought it was bad.
No, we have a Butch Brown today. I'm pretty stoked on this. I'm going to check the camera one more time because I'm pretty excited, and I want to make sure we get a good view on the camera. So hold on one second.
If you like to view ugly.
There we go. Perfect.
Do I look at you?
Yeah, you look at me. Don't look at the camera. It's just so people can watch it on YouTube and stuff. Man, I don't know where to start. You do so much. You know what? We had a little conversation in the beginning. I'm a big calico guy. And Butch was telling me he used to do it what year was it?
Would have been in the 69 into all through the 70s.
Just, I don't know how many people really know that you did do that.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
catching some good ones, huh?
Yeah. Got invited from a guy that used to do it. And we'd launch at Cabrillo, and then we'd go fish the federal breakwater at the mouth, and we'd head south towards the pike, and we'd fish till midnight or so. And, back then you didn't have spectra and you didn't have fluorocarbon, which I don't think you need that for night, but we'd have our ambassadors, a bucket of squid cut into strips, and then some rat trap skirts, fluorescent, and then some special heads that didn't get wedged in the rocks. And we'd probably lose 100 heads a night anyways.
Were you making the heads then?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I still have the mold to this day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
And it was your own mold then you made?
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, you can't afford it.
No, I bet.
It's expensive. And they didn't have designer hooks back then. They were just must-add heavy-duty hooks, and they still bent them.
Yeah.
But we'd fish 30 and 40-pound line, and we'd only get 50 to 100 yards on the reel. And we would still get spooled and broke off and stuff, and then we'd come in, we'd have a ball. It was different than the lake. It was a nice change. And then I did it when I got to learn when I was driving. I'd drive myself down there take a school friend or something, and we'd have a ball. And then I was telling you about how we used to take my big four-wheel drive Blazer back in the early 70s. And I would launch alongside Santa Monica Pier. I would drive over the parking lot at dusk and drive all the way to the edge of the water, pull it off, and then come back and park. And then we would time the surf and row out and then hit the trolling motor once we got past everything. And that's when the boats used to be moored in there before they got washed in. And the breakwater there was only 100 yards long, but it had the biggest calicos in town.
Wow.
And
And the wall you're saying was a lot higher.
it was above water.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it had little eddies in between it. So you could fish, you'd fish in between it, but you'd just go up and back a couple of times. It'd probably be about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And then you'd say, well, that's enough of that, and we pretty much let them all go, but they were really short and fat and mean and dark, and they were the biggest of all because nothing was under 4 pounds.
Wow.
There at the federal breakwater, I caught anything from 8 inches to over 8 pounds. But here they were 4 pounds to about 8.5, close to 9 pounds.
Wow.
We never weighed them or anything, but they were
more just of a fun thing to go down and
kill
some time,
It was because bass, green bass, lake bass, they don't fight that much.
Yeah.
But that's why I like my saltwater fishing, and I enjoy doing what I do with that. But
yeah,
it got to where I got older and started doing other things, and got into the tuna fishing, and I'm a veteran long ranger. I've got my 300s under my belt, and had some phenomenal trips down there. But I think this may be my last year on the 18 days.
That's a long time, man.
They're long trips, and I've done 30 of them at least.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just going to start traveling up to Northern California and doing a little more bass fishing and relaxing and looking for a place to retire.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's nice. So you've always been like a avid fisherman of everything. Because you're really known as the big bait, like Godfather, but you love fishing everything.
Everything. I grew up on a lake called Lake Sherwood.
Okay.
I used to be, as a kid, I'd be in the Western outdoors probably every other week. I was always trying to catch big fish. Big bass. That's what I did, and then that pretty much they drained the lake in the I would say it was in the about 78 or 79. And then that was time for me to sort of move on,
Yeah.
But I had already been fishing the After Bay, which is something I chose to fish because I needed a new home. And I was the second man to launch on that lake on opening day.
Really?
And my boat that I have is the same boat that I fish out of to this day there. And
how old is that boat then?
I bought the boat when I was 16 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a 1966 Alumacraft, but it's all custom built just for me.
Did you do that
trial
yourself?
And error.
You did it yourself?
Oh, yeah. I've done it 5 or 6 times.
Oh, wow.
And you know how when you do something, you realize, well, this needs to be changed. And then next time you change that, and then you change this. And now it's so dialed in that, to hold big fish all day, if I need to the replaceable bilge pumps in 30 seconds, because
you don't want to let anything die.
Shit happens, man. You turn the bilge pump on, it's not working. Well, I have them already. The interchangeable heads already with quick connects. Pop it out, put it on, 30 seconds. I got water pumping.
Wow.
Aerator.
And what size boat is that?
It's a 14-footer.
14-foot, okay.
And it's got a 48-volt outboard motor on the back. So it's definitely the fastest boat I've ever seen that's electric power. It planes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of motor is on the back?
It's actually a Briggs & Stratton that I had found online for $3,500. And then the batteries, they're $1,000. But I had to take the brochure to the lake to ask them if I could have it. And they said, yes, it's electric power, Butch, you can have it. So on a daily basis, if I'm running the boat, they get complaints that there's a guy with an outboard on the water. And they just go, is it black? And they go, yeah, it's Butch, it's electric. And then I actually have to have them come down and look at it.
Yeah.
Because they think that the electrical plug that goes into it is a fuel line. And I go, look, it's not. But the neat thing about it is I can put it straight ahead, and it's got another knob to keep it on full. So then I just jump into the bow and hit the front trolling motor and hit that one, and I steer with that. And I only use the back one just to go from point A to point B.
Wow.
And I can be down at the lake in 5 minutes, and it takes any other boat 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So if I got something going, like in line at the lake, especially if it's in the front of the lake, well, I race to the back. They all race back there too. And then as soon as they get there, I go all the way back to the front.
Tricking
so
them, huh?
I can move them around pretty good. It used to be a chess game because it's a small lake.
And you can only have electric motors on
only electric. And you could see everything that's going on. There's nothing to hide.
Yeah.
That, when I do the videos, everything is there. It's the complete cast and catch, whatever it is. I'm not blocking any views out. It is what it is. You still got to come up and catch the fish.
Did you get shit for that when you do your cast to catch, or from people
going,
"No, hey, I don't believe them," or
what has happened over the years is it's a 5-year cycle. We have guys that show up, couple 3, 4, 5, and they get hot and heavy, and they fish for 5 years, and then they disappear, and then another group steps in, and I've been there for 37, 38 years fishing this lake. You know, so. I've been always the last man standing. They've all disappeared. They've all been gone. And then what happened is I had all my video, and I made sure that I showed everybody my catches, especially the lifeguards, to verify everything. And I release them on video each time they're caught, and they're all put away. But what happened is the lake got canceled on trout stocks because of the lawsuit. Okay, so the lake
What lawsuit is that? I don't
there was a big lawsuit about any lake that drained into the river system that went into the ocean. They had to stop and evaluate it.
Okay.
And we've been okay, but we got to build a fence, but they haven't done it yet. But there's still 10-pounders to be had. But before there was probably world record bass swimming in there, because I know I've hooked a couple of them 2-3 times throughout my life that I know were in the low 20s, somewhere in there.
God.
They're way. I let one go that was 16 pounds next to the dock, and the one that swam out under the dock to look at it when it swam away made it look like a baby.
Oh my God.
So, and I've seen that a few times there.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I never wanted to put the videos out and promote myself or anything like that, because I really didn't care. They were just for me. And Kenny Huddleston from Huddleston Company wanted to put some up for his bait so people could see.
Yeah.
And as time went on, it got to be an addiction. It got to be a job. I'd go out fishing. I'd catch a 10-pounder. I'd put it on the tape. I'd go home. Okay. I'd go out fishing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, catch one by 2, put it in the can. I'd go home. And that's what I did. And I just amassed so many tapes. I have two steel cases full of them that are full of big catches.
And these are all DV tapes, VHS tapes?
They're all high 8 tapes.
Oh, wow.
Now I'm burning the good stuff, because times have changed and I've learned how to use that. And I'm not savvy with this kind of stuff, but enough said is if I figured if there's a time for me to check out, it's now, because I'm not hurting anybody that's fishing the lake, and I'm not going to damage my own fishing, because I've already done the damage. And you can come on up and you can fish, but those fish are not there like they used to be.
So what you're saying, check out, like, I'm done trying to
I'm done keeping it a secret.
Okay.
What I ended up doing is I got a hold of the Butchs bait, the 250.
Yes.
Okay.
What year was this?
God, I really can't remember. I want to say it was 10 or something like that.
Okay.
It's such a blur when you get older, because just time flies, and I'm not concerned about that stuff.
Yeah.
But if we ever get into the story how I got the depths in my hands and everything, I was one of the first, and I made sure I kept the dang thing as quiet as possible.
Which was easier then, right?
Which was easy. I could go to any lake I wanted to and catch 10-pound bass almost at will.
Wow.
And I documented teeners and 10-pounders, okay? And what happened was there was a website forum called Swim Bait Nation. And with Huddleston, I got free baits and things like that. And I thought, that's a pretty good legacy. Everybody sees my videos, and I got a little bit of a legacy when I move on.
Yeah.
Well, then I got the depths. Well, the depths was the golden egg for the summertime for me. There was a time in the middle of summer when during the day it was tough to get bid on a Hud or any other bait to catch double digits. Well, the depths was the goose that laid the golden egg. It got them in the hottest of days. It fooled them. And most of those fish are all caught in July, August, September, October. Really hot days. Middle of the afternoon, I like to fish calm days, and moon phase. We can get into that eventually.
Yeah.
But I documented all this stuff. Then I said to myself, God, I'd sure like to have a video made.
Yeah.
So I went to an ISE show, and they said, well, Depths is supposed to be here. So I went to the booth, and there's a guy named Matt Pano, and he's the importer for Depths, and he's from Optimum. Mm-hmm. And I met him in his booth, and I said, is Mr. Okamura here? And he says, no, they don't come. I'm a representative. And I go, well, my name's Butch, and I have some tapes I'd like to show you, and maybe they can make a video for me or something. He goes, well, why don't you leave me your tapes, and I'll give them to you? And I said to myself, I ain't leaving you my tapes. You're just you're a freaking kid, man.
I don't trust you, man.
I don't trust you. I don't even know who you are. I want to take the tapes to the hotel room with the owner and show him what I got. So I moved on, and then the guy that owns Black Dog, Jeremy Anderson, well, he hit me up and he says, Butch, he goes, my buddy is the importer for Depths, and you Matt Pano. And I'm like, Matt Pano again? Okay.
So now you got a little bit of validation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I ended up hooking up with Matt Pano through a friend of mine who sort of represented me at the time.
Okay.
And he could talk branding and this and that and money and I didn't know any of that kind of stuff.
So you had someone, were you getting a lot of offers at this time from different? No.
There was,
you just didn't want to deal with it.
No, I didn't. I wasn't looking for anything.
Yeah.
I'm a fisherman. You know, I do my damage with this, and that's how it works. So anyways, we meet up with Matt, and because he kept telling me, Butch, you need to play this into something. You need to do something. And I said, well, if I have one last stand, this is probably it in my lifetime, you know, because there's only so many special baits that come along, and I can only think of 4 game changers in my lifetime that for swim baiting that came into play. So then we meet with Matt, and my guy's telling him, yeah, Butch has got this color he made out of yours and this and that. And then Matt goes, well, what do you think of the depths videos? And I go, they suck. And he goes, why? I go, well, you don't see him catch the fish. You see him swing. You see him hold the net. You see him like this, but you don't see the cast and catch. I go, all of mine's cast and catch.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. He goes, well, what do you want? And I said, I had to think. I said, well, I just wanted a video made. That's all I wanted. You know, I didn't want money. I didn't want anything. And then my guy steps in and he goes, well, he wants a royalty. He wants a salary. And he's like, huh? And he goes, yeah, he wants a royalty for each bait. Well, how much does he want for each bait? Blah, blah, blah. Huh? That's crazy. He says, well, he can change the whole industry.
Yeah.
So anyways...
So it's a great deal for you.
It doesn't get any easier for a guy that didn't want to do anything. All I have to do is go to the Fred Hall show and speak, and that was a little tough at the beginning because I'm a drywall contractor. That's what I am. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways.
Hold on, real quick, let me just fix that mic. It's right in your face. So let me just bring it down. Yeah, do it like this. Like that, just so I don't want a big mic in your face.
There you go.
Yeah. Perfect.
Keep going?
Yeah. Keep going.
Anyways, I got on Swim Bait Nation, and when the bait was ready to be made, and I was ready to put it out there, because I kept it quiet, and I bought everything off of eBay, so nobody even got a shot at it, you know.
And when the bait was ready to be made, did you have help designing everything, like redesigning it?
My color, yeah. The first one, I looked at their colors other than their carp, and then I repainted them into our trout pattern because the Japanese trout doesn't look like our trout. And my bait looked really good, and I just clobbered the 15-pounders, the 12-pounders, the 14-pounders, you know. So I got on the internet and I said, I'm going to post a video, cast and catch, each night for the next 2 weeks of a teener getting caught on this bait that's coming out, the Depths 250, Butch Brown trout color, flash trout.
Did you have a newspaper or something every day or something like that?
What do you mean newspaper?
Like to put up on the...
No, but you know when the Depths bait was made, so you know.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
that's great.
Yeah, I do that on other stuff. You know, I'll hold up a magazine with a date on it,
that's like I seen you do that. That's why I asked that.
When I started doing that stuff, I wasn't really into that. Like I'm going to go out and be somebody. You know, it was just for me. So there was no reason for me to show a date or anything.
Until
but I do leave the timer on.
Calling bullshit and stuff like that.
Yeah. So anyways, I did this for 2 weeks. Then I got a call from the moderator, and he said, man, he says, there's 7,000 guys waiting for you to make a post again tonight. And he says, this is just off the hook. Well, lo and behold, the bait is going to be debuted at the Bassathon. And we're going to release the baits there. Well, the first batch of baits that came in for me, which was only 30, and that was a big order for Matt, I got all of them.
Wow.
They're all mine.
Yeah.
Okay, and I still have them to this day. And I give a few out to charities and things like that, but they're special.
Yes.
The second batch was like, I think, 300 or 400 baits, and we released them at the Bassathon.
The Anglers?
Anglers Marine.
Yeah.
And the people in line went all the way around the block that morning, and I'm like, God, there's a lot of people here today, and I've never been to a show.
You're just you just thought it was for a show.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was for your
Yeah,
bait.
I was with Huddleston for a little bit, but I could leave at 9 o'clock to go fishing, and I was just there because I'm good friends with Kenny. But here I was going to pass out baits, so we find out that everybody's waiting to come in and get one of the baits. So all of a sudden, the door opens up, and I got my camera on. And this mass is coming at us
like a Walmart video.
And they don't know where we're at, so they're all confused. They're everywhere, and it's just hands, and you're handing baits, and it's 200 baits a day. Shit. We're giving out, and they're gone in 3 minutes. I mean, everything is gone. And I'm like, wow, that was crazy. And I go, I wanted to post this tonight, but it's so ugly, I can't post it. And guys were coming in saying they were in line at 4 a.m. and they didn't get a bait because they got cut off. So then I would go ahead and get them a bait. So I was like, this is bad. So I called my wife, and she made numbers from 1 to 200, and she put a stamp on there. She works at a school, so she knows how to do this stuff. So when I got there in the morning, I made it a point. I went in line, and I went down each person, and I said, what do you want? I'm here for a Butch Brown depths bait. Okay, here's a number. I go in and shop all you want, bring that to my booth, and you can get a bait. And I went through there till I was out of the 200 numbers.
Wow.
And then...
Which is a super cool thing for you, to make it civil. That was really cool.
Civil. I didn't want to be attached to that.
Yeah.
So then all that went, and then the dust settled, and I sat back, and I've had to work my ass off my whole life in drywall and everything I got. Yeah. And I sat back, and I said, man, I just made a lot of money in 5 minutes. I get how you can make money without doing these.
Yeah.
So then it all just evolved from there, as far as the cast and catch videos and working with depths. And then I, work with them and create new colors for the market for the U.S. people. And they're only sold in the United States. And now they're in all the shops. They're sold out immediately every time we get the orders.
Wow.
And then I recently got Swimbait Underground wanted to collaborate with me and make a golden shiner color, which is going to come out in about a month. And then Bass Brigade's making a color. So when you stop back like me, here I am, just a guy who put a camera in his boat, a Sony Hi8 Handycam, and filmed fishing, and didn't care about didn't even know what an email was, didn't even know what the internet was until my worker told me and showed me that, hey, your video's on this.
Yeah.
And it all to this, then I've had to learn it all, but it all came from just pure passion. Not I want to parlay my one catch into a career.
So trying to be famous off something. Which I think is a good point of view to say, because that's kind of the thing nowadays, is maybe showing your catch. And
they get 1 or 2 catches, and then they want to parlay it into a big career and get sponsors and this and this. I go, dude, there's 300, 400 fish over 10 pounds on tape in this one shelf right here. I go, that's the homework. So I feel like what I ended up doing was setting the bar for
what people should do,
what people need to start doing, and I've never made apparel.
No.
I've never done this, even though one of my deals with Depths was that I was to get a website, okay? And they hired a guy, and he made a beautiful website. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, it still has the brick wall in front of it because I've never activated it. Where I have the Facebook, the Twitter, the product for sale in this. It's when I'm ready to do it, I can activate this and do things. But life is so simple right now. I can still go fish, and I can still enjoy everything. And I don't care if people watch me, because I'll catch fish behind them.
Yes.
I have certain ways of fishing the bait and certain ways of rigging it that,
so you don't even care much about giving away spots or anything like that, because you have it figured out differently.
I don't have to protect anything.
Yeah.
I could care less. I'll go someplace else. It's like I used to tell them when they'd be throwing 30-pound line with the depths. I says, well, tie me 20 feet back behind your boat, and I'll fish your used water. And by the time the day is over, I'll have more and bigger fish than you, because I fish a certain kind of hook on the bait. and I do things a little bit different, you know, and I got a lot of confidence, and that's a big deal is having the confidence in the bait. Like I said, going back, the damage of me putting it out there and destroying my fishery, the fishery was already on a demise. I already waited till it took its toll. I watched the fish shrink. I watched them eat other fish. You know, I watched the demise of this trophy bass fishery, all because they wanted to change the stocking rules. Yeah. And then that was when I was thinking, well, maybe I'll move up to Clear Lake, or maybe I'll go to New Melones or whatever. And then my wife told me, she says, we can't leave yet because the kids are all still in school. And she looked at the pie chart and she said, nope. She says, once they're all gone, then you can figure out what you want to do. And I'm sort of in that position now. You know, Texas is an option. You know, all these things are options. You know, I get rod offers, you know, let's make a rod, you know, and collaborate in this. And it's like, you know, if I'm attached to something, I want it to be successful. I don't want a one-shot wonder. It's not about the money. You know, it's like I can have all these sponsors for line, for reels, for rods.
Do you feel like it's more about building your legacy, to say this? But
to me,
as a way of going, I don't just support anyone. I support what I back. Like what I think this is quality. This is what I think is the stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Only what I fish.
Yes.
And what I believe in. I learned after doing the first Fred Hall show, and this was new to me, they said, think of some catchy things, you know, and just talk about the swim baiting. And then if you run out of things to say, talk about line and reels and rods. Okay, so I did the first show, okay, the first whatever days.
Yeah.
And then I had taken the brand name Psycho Butch. Okay, that was the name, SIKO Butch.
Okay.
That was the brand that I was following. Well, people were coming up to me after the show going, hey, Psycho, or a white guy would go, hey, Seiko, what's up, man? And I'm like, Seiko? I go, this is like the watch commercial when I was a kid. I go, that's not me. I go, Kenny Huddleston asked me when in the younger days, he says, Butch, you're going to go someplace here. He says, let me get you a domain name. Think about it. Let me help you. Well, I came up with Swimbait 24/7. I own that name.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was always in my heart, that if I ever had something, I would keep that. And I got this Psycho thing going. And after the first year, I was like, I don't like this. Okay, I don't like it. So I went back to Matt Pano, and I told Matt, we had a meeting, and I said, Matt, I said, you know, he goes, what's the matter? I said, I don't like that name, Psycho Butch. And I said, you know, I got to wonder if it's all worth it, because I gave up my little secret, and now everybody is catching fish everywhere. And I said, on top of that, there's guys that never were out there before that are catching the fish on the bait, that are making themselves famous over the bait. Okay. Well, I did the homework for these guys. Okay?
Do you feel like those guys give you credit?
Not really.
Really?
Oh no. This is how it's always been.
Are you serious? I mean, I would think like.
No, you know, no.
Are there some guys that you kind of
let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you to catch big bass? Okay. Well, Butch Brown has always had videos out there catching big swimbait fish. What do they say? Mike Long. It's like, are you kidding me? He's a bed fisherman.
But at the same time, was he more okay?
I knew what was going on.
No, not that. But wasn't he a little more out in the public than you? You were kind of like holding back, so it's like.
But they're into cast and catch. If you think about it, to this day, cast and catch is what they're all about.
Yeah.
Well, who's the first one on the scene? I mean, really?
Yeah.
They just don't want to put. They don't want to put the credit where the credit is due, and that's fine.
Yeah, but you know, I think the way I'm taking you in as meeting you is you don't want to be the limelight guy. Almost, you're kind of like, I like what I'm doing. I'm not going to go do a photo shoot with just everybody and their mom, and I'm not going to put up videos, you know, all the time. So people are seeing Mike Long all the time do this now. At the time when this whole thing happened, Mike Long had some pretty big records at lakes too, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, that could be the thing, is they seen something like that, so they're like, oh,
true.
We like Mike Long, but I mean, some of the stuff you put up with, fucking the amount of fish is like amazing, you know?
You got to stop and think, okay? There's guys that were bed fishing Mission Viejo. There was guys bed fishing all of San Diego. Mm-hmm. And every spring, they're holding big bass that they caught on a swim bait, okay? Which that was odd to me. Mm-hmm. But then there's ones that are proclaimed bed fishermen.
So when you so to me, can you explain I've heard this. So when you say bed fishermen,
sight fishermen.
So they're throwing big swim baits over these beds.
No, they don't eat it like that because I've played with them before. They pitch a jig in there and things like that, but you never see the videos of this stuff. Okay, so let's just put this in perspective. The movie star is in the house. The movie star is on the bed. But you can't turn that camera on to show me how you caught that.
Yes.
But yet, after the catch is made, you got all these pictures of releasing it and holding it and all this. But there's no spot to be discovered because you're zooming in on a little bed, spot.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew there was something fishy because when I would go to San Diego and I'd walk the shore and we'd go camping once in a while at Jennings and I'd go cruise to Dixon and stuff. And in the spring, I would watch how these people were doing it, and they were snagging fish on beds, and I knew that it was going to take.
But when you're saying snagging, you mean like putting like a jig head white so you can snag them in their mouth? Big difference in snagging the side of a fish.
The people I saw just had a treble hook, and they were just regular. They watched somebody else do it, so then they started doing it, and they had to figure it out from somebody else. But but that's their problem, and that's their thing. I wanted everything to be legit and honest. That's why when I show a cast and catch, it goes from beginning to end, and I'll even leave the timer. And then I said to myself, okay, when I get done with every catch, I'm going to do a 360 in the boat after the fish is in the well to show that there's nobody around me, because there's a peanut gallery that will pick at everything you do, okay? And then at the end, I lock the tape, put it away, and then when I get ready to release the fish, then I put the tape back in, and I let the fish all together, and then it's a complete package, and it's all set and put away.
So how many of these videos do you have, you think?
At least 400.
Just sitting there?
Yeah.
Have you started transferring them to hard drives and stuff?
No, I tried.
Oh, you got to. What if something happens to that footage,
well,
man?
that's the thing is I keep asking everybody, I go, what does digitize mean? And no one can tell me.
You got it.
You know, I asked Ben the other day. I asked a couple other people. I asked my neighbor works for Disney, and he thought he could hook me up with something and help me. But there's so much of it that it's not something.
Oh, it's gonna take.
You can't put that in a legacy box and send it in. You know what I mean?
No, you got to do it yourself. You're gonna have to get a card. You have to get an output on the camera and just to do the man hours. But you got it. I'm sure someone might even help you do it because. If you lose that, if something was to happen, say lose that would be horrible.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you should definitely. And I mean, you got to.
It's kept in a controlled area, but I already know that that's on my mind. At something that is a priority.
Yeah.
And it's and then I learned that that's sort of probably how Shay does it. But you can take that, and then once it's digitized, then you can enhance it and clean it up and make it right.
Yes.
But I always made sure that I put the timer on there because if anybody copied it or something, that's embedded in there. You know, like I got a couple videos where I catch 5 over 10 in 7 casts. Well, I leave the timer on there so you could see the whole thing lasted maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no. Like I turned this on later and I turned it on later, you know, or, I always made sure that I tried to cover my bases. And when somebody comes back at me with something, which when you become sort of popular, you that comes with,
you get shitted on.
With it.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And I like to be able to throw it right back at them. You know, I like to catch a fish the next day and then put their name in there, you know, and say, this is from yesterday, blah, 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 you know, and that's sort of the way I like to roll.
Do you have any guys that did give you credit that you mentored a little bit, like that have done pretty good?
Well, they're not in the limelight, but I've taught a lot of guys the right way to fish, what to look for, that have all been successful. I got a kid up north right now named Zach, and I'm trying to mentor him a little bit, but I'm giving him a little space right now because he asks so many questions, and I put it all in there that he needs to go experience it a little bit before I keep going with it.
Time on the water.
But there's a few of those, but I kept myself without, being with a lot of people, I'm your friend. Everything is cool and stuff, but I don't break bread with you. Yeah. I don't eat with you, strictly fishing. And then, there's things, sometimes I see things on the internet from these certain people. And it almost feels like it's a code and I can't decipher what they're talking about, and they're talking about the bait or me or something. And, that's the good thing about Facebook is I push a button and I don't have to see you anymore. You're not benefiting me. Yeah. I've never done anything wrong to some of these people, but yet I got to hear some of their stuff. And I'm a contractor. I was in the construction business, so I know how to deal with what I need. I don't sit back and say, like I got approached, and I get it now. Okay. I was very jealous at the beginning with everybody coming on the scene, especially when they're making themselves popular with a bait that I just put out there with all this video.
What year was this happening? Like when people were
probably 12, 13, somewhere in there. Right. But I learned that to just sit back and take a deep breath and just let it ride. Because at one time, one of the guys told me, he says, we all feed off of each other. And I'm thinking to myself, I've always had my own path and my own direction, and that's what I did, and that's how I got to my place, and that's where I'm at in life. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to feed off of what you're doing to achieve what I've achieved.
So you're saying you don't need a guy to catch a bigger fish than you to go out?
No, motivation. But it just took me a little time being an old schooler to understand where they're coming from, and you need to be a melting pot. You know what I mean? Everybody sort of needs to get along and be cool and everything, especially after dealing with the Fred Hall shows and meeting all the kids and the moms and the people and getting back to about the Fred Hall show and then doing the speaking. The next year, what I ended up doing is I decided I'm just going to go up there and I'm going to talk to all these people about what I do, what I've experienced, how I do it, what I believe, and it would be no different than having you pull up behind me with your boat and then talking to you about fishing for the day and what happened last week and the week before. And I found that if you come out and you're just flat out honest about everything, what you believe, in the way of sponsorships and, and things like that, here I am, I don't have all this fancy shirt.
You got your Dickie shirt on, man, your work shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a double X now, but it's real comfortable. I don't have to be a
flashy,
big flashy picture up there. I'm Butch Brown. I'm a LA County guy. I did all this damage within 70 miles of this center. And if I speak the truth and I tell you the truth, well, when you come up to my booth and you say, Butch, remember you told me about the moon phase and this? Or you're never going to trip me up because it's the truth. You can never get tripped up if you always just tell what you believe and what the truth is. If you start making up stuff, then you're going to get tripped up. Yeah. And then you're going to go, did I say that? Did I say that when you take a cast, sometimes the bass follow the shadow and they're waiting at the end to eat it? I don't remember saying that, So, but I see things that are written that I think are written more for the article than they are for the reality of it. And it's like I have a friend that is a biologist that fishes with me. His name is Fumio. Okay. He's a good fisherman, very good fisherman. And he hadn't caught many 10-pounders when I first met him, but the Japanese people are the nicest people in the world. And he sat with me a few times, and he reads all this stuff, and he sat there and he says, man, he goes, everything that's written about these big bass and stuff is completely opposite of what you do. And I looked at him and I said, Fumi, I said, There's no biologist out there.
Yeah.
There's no fishing guy out there that's going to tell me what, how, and why big fish feed and when to get them, because I've already learned it, experienced it on the water. They haven't even probably caught a 10-pound bass, but they're writing all these articles. I said, I catch all my fish between 2 o'clock or between 9 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Always.
The majority of them. And when I keep track of the moon for the last 30 years, when I catch a big bass, I look up at the moon phase, and generally it's not visible. Doesn't matter if it's quarter, half, full, whatever. It's not visible. Okay, it either just went down, or it's about to come up, or it went down a while ago. That's when I get busy swim baiting. Okay, and I'm talking swim baiting big bass. I don't talk about 4-pounders or 5-pounders. That's when I get busy, and that's when I get probably 95% of my big fish is when I put all that together. You know, and some of the most phenomenal years were like the hail bop year. You know, these anomalies. One year with Kenny Huddleston, I had 128 over 10 pounds in 1 year. Oh my God. Okay. That was in 9 months.
Wow.
They came down, Bassmaster, or Kenny Huddleston came down from Oregon to lip the 100th one. And I had it the first cast, and the best we were able to do was 8 pounds in 3 days, because it was in the middle of summer. You can fish from daybreak till about 8 o'clock, and then you're turning into a lobster. And when you're from up in Oregon, you need to get off the water because you're gonna get burned.
Yeah.
And so Bassmaster did the article, and I'll be honest with you, I don't do many articles for anybody. Okay, I did a few at the beginning. Okay, but I like this because I can speak what I want to speak, and you can hear what I've got to say.
We got a timeline. We got timers.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. But these guys, they would say, you got 128 over 10 pounds in this amount of time, and we want to put you in Bassmaster magazine. Okay, well then I finally get the magazine. Okay, and here they got Mike Long talking about his fish. Okay, but he's never caught that many in 1 year, anybody swim baiting. And then somebody else is mentioned, and then there's me in the back, the guy that's documented 128 of them, period. But it's like it downplays you, and you're like, this is a bunch of crap, you know, because these writers aren't listening to what I mean, think of anybody that's done it.
But at the same time, Bassmaster, they're sponsored by, they drive off sponsors,
True.
right? So who were you sponsored by at the time?
But nobody.
Okay, that could be a reason.
But I couldn't speak. Like, if I could speak without any evidence, then I would have been right up on the top of the page.
But if you would have had 10 sponsors, you probably would have been in the front. That would have been so... Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's like
it's discouraging to explain somebody, and then after they talk to you for 5 minutes, they go, "Oh, great! We got enough right here, and we'll go ahead and we'll write this up." And you're like, "You don't even know how it started. What's this or what's that?"
Yeah.
And then the other time was 100. I had 107. Was my other time I broke over 100.
Yeah.
And that was between a HUD and the depth's 250 because I really did some damage on that, and that didn't really go anywhere, but the one of the things that started at the beginning is there was a show called Bass. I think it was Bass Central, and it used to be on in the morning. Well, Kenny Huddleston got the call. They knew I had the largest bass ever caught on video, and they wanted to air it on the show in the morning. Okay, so I got this 17-pound bass on video. And they want to air it. Okay, so Thanksgiving's coming around, and the week they're supposed to air it, they can't air it because they got something else is going on. So then I go out fishing and I catch about a 15.5, and I look right at the camera after I catch it, and I just hold it up there and I go, "Have a happy Thanksgiving, Bass Central and Byron Verbeek and everybody. This is Butch Brown." So now I got 2 of them of the biggest fish ever caught live cast and catch. So then they couldn't do it over Thanksgiving. So here it is getting close to Christmas. I go out again. I get another one. That's around 16, 17 pounds. And I said, I just want to wish everybody at Bass Center Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. My name's Butch Brown. This is how you do it on a Huddleston.
Yeah.
And then one morning, me and my wife wake up, and they tell us they're going to air it. And sure enough, they they played it up good, and then they showed all 3 of those fish get caught. And to me, that was, at the time of my life, that was like, wow, geez, man, I wonder what happens. That's a legacy. Then friends saw that and stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. And then they sent me a little copy of it.
Yeah,
and, but that was sort of like getting into the beginning of maybe the legacy kind of thing.
Yeah,
for me.
So the other question I have myself is, you didn't learn this from anyone, right?
No.
Okay. And when did you start getting these big ones? Like what age? I mean, how old were you when you really started beating up the lagoon? Like, hey, I'm coming for it.
Even when I fished the northerns at Casitas and Sherwood, I always caught the bigger fish. Mm-hmm. I always was intrigued with catching the bigger ones. And then once I got to the lagoon, I would have to say it was about 77 on a Shannon twin spin that I used to fish at Sherwood and stuff. And that's when I got my first 10-pounder, and I've pretty much never looked back from there. But I've got a 7 and an 8-pounder back in the 60s as a kid on that Shannon spinner out of Big Bear. Wow. I got a 7 and an 8 one day at
what is
Big
that
Bear
exactly?
Marina.
I don't even know what a Shannon spinner is.
It's a twin spin.
Okay.
Spinner bait with a buck tail back in the day with a Pettigo pork rind, and it was very, very effective for me. But I learned that you can go. I tried the tournament stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like a bunch of old ladies complaining. I watched a guy get disqualified because he had his pig and jig hanging over the side of the boat in the marina while he was getting a soda. And the other guy said that he's fishing in the marina. He's got his line in the water. And that guy had to get disqualified because that guy made it. And I was thinking, how petty is this?
Yeah.
And I watched how they are your friends, but that behind your back, they're looking for something that they can disqualify you with, or they're talking behind your back,
Yeah.
And this is not the scene for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I said, I'm just going to do my thing for the big fish. And when you think about it, you can go out and you can catch a limit, a 20-pound limit. You can catch a 25-pound limit. And when you go home that night, okay, it's a beautiful limit.
Yes.
I mean, let's call it short, but at dinner and maybe the next morning at work, you talk about what you did. I go, but if you go out there and you catch a 10-pounder or you catch a teener, well, you're never going to forget it your whole life, okay? And you're going to talk about it for 2-3 weeks, and it's going to come up again in 6 months. And if you burn it on Cast and Catch, you can literally watch that video in 10 years of exactly what happened. And that's what happened with me, is I was able to watch my videos and see what I was doing wrong in landing them.
Almost like a it's a sport. It was like, like the professional sports will look at videos and go, oh, look what I did right there.
It mentored me into being a better fisherman because, when I get out there, I have my net in the same spot. And it's in a special place, and it's propped up a certain way, and it's a fast net, a single-man fast net. The problem I see a lot of guys have nowadays is they buy these big $100 nets, and it's all they can do to handle it to net their fish. And they're beautiful. They're gold, and they're this, and they're that. But you need a fast net if you're a swim baiter because you only have so many jumps before that lure is going to come flying out.
Yes.
I've been there. I got it on tape, man. So the net is always there. And I always said to myself, never, ever put a Coke, never put a rod, never put anything on that side of the boat. And when you hook a fish, automatically in your brain, and that's the side I have to land the fish on too. And I know there's a good side and a bad side. And for me, it's left hand in the net. So as soon as I hook that big one, and it's a big one, and it's coming, and I know I've only got so much time, and I try to keep them down. I keep them, when I set the hook on those big ones, and I know he's big, I just keep them winding. So when they're coming at me, they can't turn and dig and go down. The minute you let off, he's going to go down, he's going to find a bush, he's going to find a rope, he's going to do something.
Yeah.
If you keep them coming, and then don't let off until he gets next to the net, that's when he's going to go nuts on you. Mm-hmm. But if you already are in the motion okay, when he's digging and you're getting ready to pull him up, you've already got that net, and he's going to come flying out of the water. Boom, he's right in the net.
Muscle memory every time, yeah.
If you watch the videos, man, it's just a couple of seconds, man, from the time I touch that net to the time I get him in, you know. And I have bloopers, good bloopers. You know, I thought I had enough line to pull him up, and realized I got to drop the net and reel down even more. You know, I got them where they just threw the hook right there at the boat. You know, I got bloopers up the gazoo.
You break rods over that ever?
No, but I treat my rods. If you look at the videos, I throw my rods down when I'm done. I don't, you know, I'm not the guy that puts the sheath over it. I use my equipment, you know, and you can tell. And I use the same stuff year in and year out.
Wow.
I don't chase the newest and the greatest. You know, I fish a Shimano 400B still to this day. I beef it up a little bit with some burrito bearings and some nicer handles. Okay, and they cast really, really nice. It's a workhorse. It never lets me down. The rods, you know, I was fishing a Loomis, but now Depp supplies me with some nice rods that I'm comfortable with. And if I had to buy them, I couldn't afford them. Okay, you know, they're $800 rods probably.
Yeah,
but you know, I treat them no different than a Zebco. When I get done with my fish and he's in the net, you know, I just take my Ray-Bans, throw them on the ground, and then I get into the camera and do my thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm so pumped up, even though I was a 50, 40, 50, and now I'm a 60-year-old man, there's nothing that you can imitate when you catch a teener or a 10, the amount of excitement that's in you when you actually know it's on film and you've got that fish up there. It's the adrenaline, it's everything. When you stage something, you can see in the eyes that it's not there.
Really?
I can tell.
Yeah.
You know, and I've, even me, I have to be honest with you, I've caught a fish, look back, fuck, battery's dead. Son of a bitch. Oh, I forgot to rewind the tape when I came through here. That's why I had to be diligent about what I did is every time I moved from here to there, I had to rewind that tape. Okay, and then I had to have the extra batteries, you know, and rewinding the tape, you know, it takes a few minutes too.
Yeah.
You know, and then sometimes you decide to push it to the limit, and then you look back and the little red light's going off, and there's nothing in the screen, and
I've done it doing this. That's why you guys will see a shaky video, because I'm like, I can see the fucking mic blocking his face. I got to move that.
Yeah, and then you catch the fish, and you're like, son of a, oh man, it's been a long time. I really wanted that one.
Yeah.
And then you hook them on, and you hold them in the water, and then you pull them in like you're netting it, and then you look back at the video and you can clearly see it ain't gonna fly. That excitement is not in there, you know.
I get what you're saying, because I mean, I've had podcasts where I like drinking beer, and a lot of the guests like to drink beer.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
So I had some guys come on before where they drink too much and they had to redo it. No problem.
Yeah,
but we're missing that little thing from the first one.
Yeah.
There's a little thing, you know, where it's like, it was a different like vibe, you know, like, and it was fine. I love the podcast, but that first one, when you first meet someone and you tell those stories, so sometimes it's hard. Like before, when you came in, I stopped you because I'm like, I want to hear this.
You can read the passion, first time, the excitement and everything. And thank God it's early in the morning and we're not drinking the beers yet, because they told me you like beer too.
Yeah, I'm not today.
Just glad
I drank enough. I drank enough this weekend at the show for the next couple months. So.
Yeah, but you know, when I started doing the video stuff, I had taken pictures. Okay, like the 128, I had a scrapbook, and I would send them to Kenny every week, you know, till he sent me back the book.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he says, you only have so many pants, you only have so many shirts, you only have so many shorts. He says after a while, he says, you'll see what the peanut gallery does is they'll start comparing this fish to that fish and this and that. And I said, really? They do that stuff? I'm naive. I didn't know this stuff. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, you need to get a video camera, Butch. So I went down to Sears, and they had the Sony Handycam.
And another year stamp. What year was this?
This was early on. This would have been probably 05 or 06.
Okay.
You know, somewhere in there. And I got it, and it was said digital, so I thought that was cool, you know. And then I I saw everybody used to use those little tapes, so I got it. Well, then I went to Kmart, and I bought one of those cheap pedestal seats, pedestals. And then what I did is I got a mounting bracket, and I mounted it on the back of the boat and took out the back seat. And then I put it on there, and I read the instructions that night because I got home late. And I said, okay, you put the tape in here, and that's the button you push to play.
Yeah.
And that's rewind. Okay. Didn't know about a wide angle lens. Didn't know about extra batteries. Didn't know about any of that stuff. Okay. And, it's all new to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I got this camera. Okay. And the viewfinder came out. So then I launched the boat, and I got on the dock, and I turned the viewfinder out like this. And I jumped in the back of the boat, and I'm looking, and I go, okay, right there. And I locked everything down, and I'm like, okay, cool. So then I went out and I went fishing. And I had a follower the week before, a big one. Well, that was a 16-pound fish. I went out there, I threw a 05 HUD, and I'm coming along, and the camera's zooming in over here, and all of a sudden you see the fish eat it right there. He eats it right on camera, flops, fights, does everything, and I get the fish in, and then I'm looking at my camera going, God, I hope you saw me in there. I hope that's there. I didn't even know that the viewfinder turned around so I could see myself. I didn't even go that far in the instructions. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I got it on tape 20 minutes into this.
Yeah.
So I shut it all down, and I went home, and I was afraid to do anything that I would erase it. So I packed it up, put the lock on it, sent it back to Kenny, and then he had it, and he was all like so excited over it, and that was the beginning.
That's the
very first one. It's in black and white. I think it might even be on YouTube. See, I never put any of that stuff on.
So
YouTube.
It is on YouTube. You're the biggest. What was your biggest catch fish you have?
19.3,
and that's on YouTube.
That's on YouTube.
That is
that I was able to put on myself.
That's the biggest.
Yeah,
you know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The others were done by a guy named Steve Adams. So he posted those because he was editing for Kenny. So he gets the credit for that. I own the tapes. I have them at home, but he was the one that put them on there. And so, but some of them have well over 1 million hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 19.3 was caught. We had an hour to go. I just got there. It was after work. They'd stocked 2 days before, shot down to the lake. I just wanted to fish one area, stuck that fish. The hook came out when I was netting it. And then what you don't see, and you might see someday, is a guy break down in tears.
Really?
From catching that fish.
That's awesome.
I got on the phone with Kenny Huddleston. I told him this is the biggest bass I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I was just tearing up. I was a mess.
That's amazing. So that's awesome.
I called my worker, Rob. I said, I need you here. And he was in Simi Valley. Well, he made it there in 45 minutes. I was already slowly heading back to the ramp. We had one lifeguard on duty, Johnny Velasquez. And so I got to the dock. He goes, open the live well. And I lifted it up a little bit, and he goes, shut it. So then Johnny shows up, and we have a certified scale up in the house that was donated by Steve Arkland at the time. And it's a beautiful scale. I don't even know if they have it anymore. Got the fish, called my wife, they put it in Rob put it in a bag. I left the camera on the back of the boat so you could see us getting off the dock with it, and we walked up, put her on the scale, really nice. Got Johnny Velasquez, 19.3, everything centered. Okay, let's get back down to the boat. Then there's a guy that just started fishing by the launch ramp. He's tripping out. Get the fish back in. I take a couple pictures with it like this. My kids show up. The sheriff's coming in. He's going to telling us that we got 5 minutes to get out. I get on the phone. It's right before the Fred Hall show, and I had just got done and got the phone numbers of the guys that were going to come and shock for the Fred Hall show.
Yeah.
Actually, they left.
Okay.
And it was Juicy at Diamond Valley, and I said, "Hey, man." I said, I got a 19-pound bass right now in my live well at the Afterbay. I go, okay, do you have access to send a truck down with a tank? Or I have a Fraybill pin that I can get from somebody, and I can babysit him all night long.
What's that?
It's one of the, like a bait pin.
Okay.
You know, like a 3 foot wide, deep, you know how they are.
Okay.
And I said, I have access to one of those I can get from a friend. And I said, I can keep this bass alive until the truck gets down from me if you can call Fillmore or something. So then they made a couple of phone calls. And they got back to me, you know, with it real quickly. And he says, we don't have any trucks that can be there to do anything. We'd really like to have it at the Fred Hall show in the tank. He says, but you're going to have to just go ahead and cut it loose, man. He says, because we can't take a chance that she's going to roll or die.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty much it. I rolled off the dock, gave the tape to my buddy, and he's filming it. And then I get up there and I set her in the water and let her go. And
how did that feel, putting that fish back?
Pretty exciting.
Was it?
But it was another time in my life where it's a fish, it's a catch. You know, I'm not looking to take that to another level and proclaim that as my catch of a lifetime legacy. So it wasn't even in the cards.
You're not trying to go, this is what I worked for. This is just one of the things that I like doing.
This is what I did.
Yes.
You know, I never thought there'd be, you know, a future throwing swim baits or anything like that. It wasn't, you know, it just wasn't, you know, it didn't even dawn on me until I started getting educated how popular it is and it's getting with the younger groups and stuff.
It's huge now, right?
You know,
I mean,
I had no idea, you know, but that's where those other guys come into play because they get things going and stuff. All I am, I guess now, after I got educated, is I'm a goat. And I pretty much set the bar.
You didn't know what even that meant, right?
No, I pretty much set the bar for the cast and catch, and still to this day, when I look at all the teeners that I have posted versus what I see get put up on cast and catch, well, you can combine them all together, and there's still not as many as what I've got up.
Yeah.
When I go to the Fred Hall show, I have a tape that I made that I play on a monitor when I do the speaking, and it has 100+ catches on that tape that the audience, and I tell the audience, you can watch this tape while I'm talking to you if you get bored, and here's 100 catches, cast and catch, only edited a little faster so you could see what swim baits do. And I would let that tape roll. Well, then I'm looking at the internet the other day, and I see one title on there, most 10-pounders on one video on YouTube. And I'm thinking, and I know who it is, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess you haven't seen this. Then I see another one where they reworded it, largest bass documented on weight.
That's what I thought, and that was
all in the wordings.
I thought that was the biggest. That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
I got several 17s on tape.
Yeah.
You know, but I wasn't looking to promote myself for anything. I didn't need to do that. My fish was weighed on dry land and brought up to the scales just like everything else. All my lifeguards still work there. They all will sign affidavits. You know, it's what I did.
Has anyone challenged you on that size?
No, they can.
No, I know, but I mean,
I could care less. You know, It is what it is. It's not a world record. Okay. It might be a lake record, but that's all it is. And I said to myself, if I ever did catch the lake record, well, it's going home. It's not getting put back.
You keep that thing. You get it framed.
I will keep that.
Get it.
Well, figure the fish has only got so much of its life left. Okay. Yeah. So here I let go a 22.5-pound bass, world record bass. And then 2 weeks later, in the same area, somebody catches it again. Okay, and they weigh it on a different scale. Okay, so now it's bigger, but we all know it's the same fish. Yeah. We all know there's one fish that was caught that's the same fish that was caught just a couple days prior.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but I said, it will go home. I will take that fish, and I will put it on ice, and I will get on the internet, because I was already internet savvy at the time. Anybody between this hour and this hour that contacts me wants to come up and visually see the world record bass in its entirety can come up and see this, and that's how it will be. You know, there won't be any, you know, I waited at Ralph's Market and then I took it back and let it go, or I waited on my bathroom scale with me standing on it and calculated. There won't be any of that. If it's a world record, it's definitely going to go home. Yeah. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
it is what it is. You can call me a killer, but if you think about all the bass I've ever caught over all the years.
How many have you saved with all the live well stuff you?
Yeah. I clean them up. Every fish I catch, I clean up. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And I used to look for the spot. There's a black spot on the bigger fish. And I don't know if it's an age spot. I've asked biologists and stuff, but they have a dot someplace on their body. And I always knew that was the supreme gene, whether it is or it isn't, but in my belief, it is. So when I would catch like a 1.5 pound, 6-pounder, 8-pounder, and it had that dot, man, he got treated like royalty.
Yeah.
Because I knew that fish was going to probably be a giant.
What's the California state record?
Well, it's all in discrepancy because of all the shenanigans.
Okay.
It's anywhere from 21 to 22-1.
Which one who do you think holds it? Yourself?
Probably Arroyo.
Okay.
His fish was 21
What lake
something.
is that out of?
Castaic.
Really?
Yeah, there's been 3 20s out of there, but that lake is done. It's over.
Yeah.
They got stripe. They didn't have striper back then.
Yeah.
Stripers, any lake to me that has stripers won't have big giant bass. I mean, Diamond Valley has enough bait in it that gets put in, or trout, but yet stripers still keep them at bay. But there's a lot of that fake 10-pound, they're 9-pounders, they're 8-pounders, but they're not quite 10.
Yeah.
You very rarely see one over 10 pounds, or even a teener for that. I think John Curry's dad or uncle probably has that lake record, and that was before the stripers actually took hold of the lake.
That's what he was
when
saying.
Those fish were there roaming around. Castaic now didn't have the big quantities of stripers. If somebody caught one, it was like, what did you get? How big was it?
Yeah.
That big? What does it look like? Now it's infested.
They're huge, right? Yeah.
So in my mind, you don't fish offshore for the big fish anymore on the high spots or anything, because those stripers are roaming now.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a big one at one of these lakes, it's going to be on a wall. It's going to be on a cliff, because I found that like at Pyramid, Castaic, places like that those fish hug in, and they usually live in a nook or cranny, and they come out and they eat something and they go back in, and that's where they're going to be caught. They're not going to be out in open water and be competing with stripers whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so those lakes I try to stay away from. I have a couple lakes that I go to from my house now up north, okay, and I always knew there was big fish in these lakes. They're trout stock. They don't have stripers. And I pretty much, the couple of guys that I know that fish those lakes, I told them, I said, look, I'm coming up there and I'm going to fish. Okay?
I'm coming to get you.
I don't want to fish with you. Okay? I don't want to know anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up and I'm going to fish myself and do my own thing. I'm going to have my camera in the boat. But I just want you to know something right now. I'm not going to blow your stuff up. I'm not going to catch a fish and then put it on tape and have everybody come up, because you guys fish this lake. You have priority over me.
So out of respect,
out of respect. And I said, someday,
you're like a mafia.
Exactly. Yeah. Someday, in 5 years or 6 years, I might go ahead and put it out there. But I said, I won't put anything out, yet, or anything like that. So don't worry. I won't exploit your waters.
And they're probably fine about it.
They're all fine with
great,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I meet these guys at the dock, and, and they're all cool. But like, when I go fishing, I'm not the guy that waits for a phone call for somebody to say, hey, they're biting over here. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to know nothing.
Unless it's salt, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's salt water.
That helps. Yeah, that helps. When the tuna are here, the tuna are here.
You're going,
yeah.
right?
Calico, that's different, man. They're bass.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know anything. I don't, I want to just be free to go out there. I don't want somebody pointing a finger at me and saying, Butch was fishing my water and he was doing this, or I mentioned something about this bite and he's doing that. And it's like, I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
I go, I can find my fish. I'll do my own thing. And I like I said, I got my own path. It was funny because these guys that do the tournament fishing at the lake, I know them all. I even fished the night tournaments just to fish at night. And we always win one or get second, in the 4 tournaments and get invited to the national championship. And I said to myself, I says, well, I'll go to Havasu and fish Havasu.
Yeah.
So I go to Havasu My guy can't fish, so I'm going to fish solo, but we qualify. I get there early in the morning. I go start fishing, okay, and it's a big lake. I'm like, shit. And I said, well, I'm just going to fish swim baits. It's all I bring.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't bring all that other stuff. So I get a couple 4-pounders, and the water's clear, and and these cigar boats are shooting past me. And about 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm sitting out there, and I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? I said, okay, I'm pre-fishing 2 days ahead of time. Okay, now I got to go get a hotel for 2 nights, maybe 3. Okay, for 3, I'm going to have to pay to fish the tournament, and I'm going to come out here and compete with guys that live here, that pitch frogs, throw spinner baits, flip jigs, and know this water. I'm coming up here and I'm going to compete with Sean Bailey? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah.
2:00 in the afternoon, I put that boat back on the trailer, headed back, stopped off in Barstow at the original Del Taco, got myself a burrito, and I was home by 7:00 at night.
There you go.
Said, that's not
you. It's not you.
That's not me. It's a fantasy to come up there and throw a swim bait against the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
It's not there. But it's funny because these guys, I get in line and they have a line for the tournament that goes in, and they have to be inspected for quagga. And then sometimes I'm on that side of the lake also, and they have a line to get in. So I'm usually the first one in line. And I live a mile and an eighth from the launch ramp, so it's a piece of cake. I'll be sitting in line. Well, I know every one of them. And they come by and they hey, Butch, blah, 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 blah. And then one time one of them came by and he goes, Butch, he goes, you want to get some big money and stuff, you should start coming up here and fish. And I just look over at him and I go, I said an amount, but I said, dude, I make blah, blah, blah in this boat and don't have to fish one frickin' tournament, and it'll take you 5 lifetimes to do that in one tournament.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I didn't think about it like that.
You get to do what you love.
You get
to do what you love.
You don't want to go because you have to. If you want to be a tournament fisherman and you want to compete, whether the wind's blowing, whether it's freezing cold, no matter what it is, if you want to be in the running, angler of the year, first place, whatever, you have to go.
Yeah.
Okay? Your dog's sick. You want to compete, you still got to go.
Yeah.
I can wake up in the morning and go, no, it's not here for me. The moon's up.
Yeah.
I don't need to go. I'll go at noon, or I'll do this or do that,
Yeah.
And by keeping track of that moon phase thing, it helps me out at home too, because
you make your wife happy.
Well, yeah, or my beer. Why should I? The moon just came up at 11:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
and I can fish a spinnerbait, which I love to fish, or I can do this and catch these smaller fish. I go, but I can be at home and I can take care of honeydews. I can go have sushi.
Yep.
I can have some beers and have some of my close friends come over.
Yeah.
And my close friends are a lot like you. Mm-hmm. I only have like maybe 5 of them that are like really tight with me.
Yeah.
We'll come over and we'll start drinking beers, and then the shit just goes. And they're heavy swim baiters too. So they start talking the stuff, and they go, we should have all this on film, man. Oh man, this is crazy, And,
but then those are the things that you don't almost want to have on.
There's
podcasts we've done, and we didn't release it because it was a lot of fun. People get too drunk, but there's some stuff like that should be just between you and your buds, Yeah.
Right? Well, there's jealousy, and this guy's.
I'm sure everyone talking shit about someone else.
It's like I told you. I called Ben. Okay, well, I called a friend of mine named Ben, and told him. I said, I've seen all this bad stuff, just in fishing on swim baits and stuff, and I go, somebody needs to clean this up.
Yeah.
Look at all the young kids that walk up to you and stuff. And to me, it seems like it's cleaning up, and I need to be part of that cleanup. And I try to be that as like an ambassador to the swim bait world when I'm at the shows and with kids and I have to deal with people. And, and being old school, I need to adjust into the melting pot. And I'm learning. I am learning, and I'm trying my best, but there's some things that somebody could do to me that would piss me off, and I'm, and I would say something.
I feel like
I'm not going to let you step on me.
I feel like people should be giving respect. If it's like seeing someone famous, like you did something really big. You've done something really big. Like, I get that you're like, hey, I know there's new guys doing what I'm doing, but like, don't treat me like I'm a fucking asshole, you know?
Yeah. Well, I had one guy that used to just constantly pick on me. It's like, here I come out of the closet and I'm throwing all this video around and all these catches. And then after a year or so, I'm starting to get like, well, but what have you got now? And what have you got here? And what about there? And it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything. I was hardcore 200-300 days a year for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And now I've accomplished something, and I've got the trout stocks have slowed down, and my wife was very good about letting me do what I did. And sometimes you feel like you need to put back into the pot what you've got out of it.
You got it, right?
With family and stuff, and the kids are graduating high school and getting into 12th grade. And, I'll pick and choose when I want to go a little bit. And I still will do my tuna fishing, because that's the only time of year I get to pull hard with all my might on something, because the bass don't do it. But, but then, I'm able to go out the next day and catch a 10-pounder and mention that person's name and say, blah, 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 so I throw it back in their face. But trust me, I'm fishing other places that I can't really talk about what I'm doing right now.
You don't need to.
I travel
Yes.
a little bit now, and from my house, because I'm by the Grapevine before you go over the hill, well, I can go to Northern California in a blink of an eye, and there's no traffic.
Yeah.
You're you're there.
Yeah.
It might be miles, but if I wanted to go to Diamond Valley or Paris from my house, well, the traffic, I'd be on the road for probably, if I didn't leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to Paris or Diamond Valley, I would probably barely get there for opener. And if I stay, even if I leave at 2 in the afternoon, or if I leave at 6
or 7,
I won't get home for 5 hours, maybe 6, depends how bad the traffic is, and that's not worth it to me.
Or you can go 6 or 7 hours up north, make it worth it.
Exactly. I don't even have to go that far. 2-3 hours, and I'm in the zone, man.
Yeah.
And those guys up there keep things a little more quiet, but I know what's going on because a lot of them fish the depths 250, which is
they'll hit you up
the
about
bay,
it, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I do repairs for them, and I tune them for people, and never used to charge them for shipping, and I just would tune them for them, and I'd put different kind of hooks and make them my way for them, because here I am. I'm a guy, and I got my own name on a bait. I'm getting paid for my.
Hey, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm getting paid for my name, so I'm going to do my best to make sure that you have the fishiest bait in your hand, if it bears my name or whatever. And then after the first 2 years of doing this, well, I realized that I just spent, in 2 years, I spent $3,500 in return shipping.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that I can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So now when they get a hold of me, I charge them $10 for the return shipping, and it's some are $8, some are $16. It just depends where it goes.
You just do a flat.
And then I usually tell them, and you can donate to my beer fund if you want to. If you don't have money, you're a kid, whatever. I understand, and I'll do it for nothing.
Yeah.
But don't play me. Usually I can get a kid. I try to help them out.
Yeah.
And then, but they'll send me, $10.
That's cool.
Some guys are real generous and throw a 50 in there. And, but I end up sending them, $30 back. I don't feel sort of guilty taking their money, because I'm fixing these things and I know everything about them. I could take one completely apart and then tune it up my way, and it's just going to swim like a dream. And, it's the passion of it. It keeps me busy too when I get home, that I can take care of this stuff.
And you're still working full time.
And I still work full time, but I don't work full time.
Yeah.
I am a drywall contractor, but I do high-end work, and I don't do a lot of jobs because me and Robert, and then I have a crew that comes in and hangs. They're like a freelance. But and then I have a crew that I trained over the years that are all on their own now. And when I make the phone call, they all come.
Yeah,
you know, they all take care of me because they all got their lives and family straightened out, and they're happy to have learned.
That's nice.
But we do the Venetian plaster.
Yeah.
We do just the high end stuff. I've had jobs where they, that were like 10,000, 15,000 square foot houses that wanted this texture out of this barn in Italy that they brought me a sample of.
Got to figure it out.
And I tell them, I can match it exactly, but one person has to do this finish, or that room's going to be different from this room, and this one, that's okay. Take as long as you want. So I'll go in and I'll do one room at a time, and it took a couple
You do it yourself? Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Takes a whole year to do it.
Shit.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
But the place is just absolutely beautiful. There's nothing that's not 100%, as far as it's going to crack, or this is a flaw, or that's not good. Tear it out. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
We never have that issue. We put the right glues on the wall for adhesion. I learned from the old school guys that used to do the screeding of the moldings in the old houses.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I've learned all that stuff too. So I get calls for that. Like, here you're a Beverly Hills guy, and you want to put a 4-lane bowling alley in the downstairs, but you want to bring this molding that was made back in the turn of the century in the 20s with the angel and the claw and this and that, but yet you're adding another 40 feet, two sides. Can you match it? Yeah, I can match it. And because I make my own baits, and I've been doing it for years, I know how to work with all the RTVs. So instead of putting a sand base like we did with the hacksaw blades and metal shop and things like that, and you'd pour the aluminum in, well, those days are gone. And I would cut out that section from the beginning to the end and give myself a plain section to attach to, so it's easier to dial it in. Then I would make a cast and a mold, and I'd mold it, and then I would make them out of urethane, and then be able to stick them on the wall. And money is no object to these people.
That's nice.
They don't care. I get to work for a lot of movie stars.
That's cool.
That's
cool.
And you don't get to see them because they always have their representatives. But some of them are pretty cool. They get to know you by name, and then they want you back. That's it. I'm the only guy I want back here.
Aren't you the GOAT?
Yeah. Well, I was in LA Magazine 2 times in my life for being the #1 drywall guy in LA.
That's cool. Yeah. Not only are you
custom fireplaces, things like that.
You got it both locked down.
Yeah.
So when you were coming up, your person you kind of fished with was Ken Huddleston?
Well,
he's a buddy of yours. I mean,
he was somebody that I bumped into at a boat shop, and I never really knew him that much because he came out with his other baits, and I just fished them. Okay, I was the guy that took his foam body head and I repainted them because I thought they looked better. But there was guys back in those days that knew that I was catching swim bait fish, and a lot of them, because I would make sure that everybody saw my fish before I let them go. I make sure of it, to somebody. Yeah. And, there's certain guides and other guys that when Kenny would ask them, hey, do you have anybody else that, we can help sponsor or put on a pro staff or something, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no. They're all out to protect themselves. They don't need me to step in the door. Yeah. So they kept me back from all that. Okay. And I just did my thing. Yeah. I didn't care. That was before video and stuff. Well, then I happened to bump into Kenny one day, and he said he was coming out with a new bait, and he says, I remember your name and stuff. He goes, but the guys, they
shit on you.
Yeah, that's what they do. They're all for them. It's all for me. Me. That's what you see. Yeah. So anyways, I hear the baits are going to come out. And I go on a long-range trip, 18-day trip, and I get home. And I'm thinking, well, I heard they were going to be out like around January. Mm-hmm. So I lived in Castaic, but I wanted to go to the Walmart in Simi to pick up a couple batteries and do an estimate for somebody. Mm-hmm. Well, there's JT Tackle was there. Okay, so I had to kill a little time in the morning, so I swung by the JT Tackle, mm-hmm. and I looked in the window, and I saw all the baits on the wall, and I went, oh my God, they got them in. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I went and did my thing, and then at 9 o'clock, I walked in the door. And I said, the guy's name's Kenny. I said, hey, Kenny. I go, those are those new Huddleston baits, huh? And he goes, yeah. He goes, we just got them in last night before closing. We put them up. They're brand new. I go, anybody buy any yet? He goes, nah. I go, how much are they? He goes, I think they're like $22.50, $23. Oh, man, that's a lot of money. He goes, I go, how many's up there? He goes, well, we got 36 of them up there. You know, and he goes, they're different ones. You know, there's 16, there's a 12, there's a 0, there's a 5. I go, really? I go,
were you fishing these at the time?
I was fishing.
Because the rate of fall, that's all rate of fall.
That's all rate of fall.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was fishing Optimum Ospreys and a homemade bait that's the thumper tail at the time.
Okay.
And very successful with it. Plus, I was fishing the Wood Chubby Cheeks.
Okay.
And other baits like that. You know, the AC plug was already out and stuff.
Did you know about the rate of fall of the bait already? You didn't know. You just kind of were.
He told me about it, and I'm like, oh, that's the sink, huh? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, that's cool. And then he goes, I go, you got a box? He goes, yeah. He goes, what do you want a box for? I want to take a couple of them. Can I step behind the counter? And he goes, yeah, go ahead. I bought every one of them. He goes, you can't buy them all.
Why?
I go, why? I go, I got the cash right here. I go, I want them all. He goes, okay, well, we'll reorder. So he gives me those, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I might have just bought a pretty face. You know what I mean? Because I buy everything.
Yeah.
But it's probably one of those baits that I'm going to buy, and I'm going to throw it, and it's going to look great. All my friends will want one from me, so it's not like a lose-lose.
Yeah.
I can always give them away to some people and sell them. You know, they were expensive at the time. So I go fishing that day, and I pick up a buddy of mine, and he's not a real swim bait guy, but you know, we're fishing spinner baits, and he goes, is that new bait you got today? And I go, yeah. He goes, let me try one. So he ties it on, and I go, it might just be a pretty face, dude. So he throws it out, lets it sink, and he gets a phone call. He's talking on the phone. Line's hanging in the water, I'm looking around. I'm throwing my spinner bait, and I go, oh, I got him. I got one. I bring it up. Here comes my spinner bait, and there's a line on my spinner bait. There's a fish on that line. The other line goes to his rod.
Yeah.
Well, I moved his bait down there, and the fish ate it.
Oh, shit.
And he reeled it up, and he caught like a 5-pounder. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I go, I set the hook for you and everything. I said, oh, man. I said, that's pretty good. So he gets off the phone. He starts fishing again. He gets another one about 3-4 pounds. And I'm like, you know, if you get another one, I'm going to put that bait on. Well, it wasn't more than 5 minutes later, he got another one.
Shit.
And then that was the beginning of everything. Then I put the bait on. I ran home, and I had a teenage daughter in the house. And I said, on the back of this package, there's a website, and I want to see if I can order these baits. Can you punch it up for me? Dad, okay. So she looks at it, and she punches it up. You know, I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that was way before me. And she goes, yeah. He goes, he's got them here to order. And I go, do they take credit card? And she goes, yeah. I go, okay. I go, well, I want 40 of them. And she goes, Dad, you know, they're this much a piece.
Did you tell Mom?
I go, I want 40 of them. Okay, click. She orders it. They come in the mail. Well, then I'm really kicking ass. Okay. He only made 200 when he first.
So you already
made
have 60. Something.
One tackle shop had them up north. They took them to a tackle shop here, and they didn't want to carry them because they had too many swim baits. So they turned it down. Very popular place. I won't mention the name. So he's got the other. He sent 30-something to the other place.
Yeah. So
here I am sitting on almost 80 baits.
Oh, my God.
So then I'm, you know, by the end of the week, I think I had 2 or 3 teeners and some 10s. So I go back home. I get my daughter again. And she goes, what, Dad? I go, I want to reorder. And she goes, we get on there. How many do you want, Dad? I want 40. So she orders me another 40. So here I am. I'm holding 120 of the 200 Huddlestons that were made, all originals, from Oregon. Now they're hearing about it, a little bit of scuttlebutt, and the guys at the lake know that I'm fishing this bait, but nobody could get them. Even JT Tackle tried to order them, and he said they're gone.
Did you take a picture and say, hey, look who's that?
Yeah, I didn't say nothing, but I kept showing them the pictures because they were showing Kenny Huddleston the pictures.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden I'm getting phone calls from people that, hey, I'd like to get a couple of these baits and stuff. And, I was always pretty even with everybody, but I had a couple close friends. I never charged anybody for one, even though I'm paying 20-something bucks a piece. If you ask me for one, here, take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I learned a big lesson here. Okay, I had a couple of guys that I hung out with, and they were all tournament guys. Okay, and I went with them to fish, and we caught fish.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I took the kid that was the son of Ted from JT Tackle.
Okay.
He got his personal best with me at Casitas during that couple of weeks, 15-something, because I had the baits. I said I got plenty to use or plenty to lose, but none to spare.
Yes.
So I'm not going to give you any.
Yes.
Well, one guy, he calls me. I gave him one. He never caught a teener in Castaic. He's been there his whole life. I took him out fishing. I had 5 over 10 that day in about 25 minutes on that bait.
Wow.
So I said, well, come with me tomorrow. So he took him out the next day. He got 2 over 13. And I told him, he called me a week later. He goes, I lost my baits. He goes, can I get a couple more from you? And I said, let me tell you something. I'm going to fish the tournament at Casitas. I said, I don't fish tournaments, but I want to fish this bait at Casitas because I'm the only guy that's got it, and I want to give it a try.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, well, I was going to fish Casitas with it. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to let you do a little soul searching. I said, I'm going to put 2 baits on my tailgate of my truck. I said, you can have them for free. I said, don't fish against me in the tournament with my own bait. And out of respect, that's what I would like.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, tournament day, he's there. He's fishing against me with the bait. Okay? You're cut off. You're done.
Yeah.
Okay? So I learned a big lesson there on friendship versus
fishing.
Greed or fishing. So then my mechanic is a bass fisherman. Okay? He's fishing Kachuma.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, man, we'd like to be the only ones with that bait up here, man. And I go, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a couple of them. You guys can take them up there. Let me pay you for them. No, don't pay them for me. Everything's cool. Meanwhile, he just charged me $3,400 to fix a cracked exhaust manifold on my F-250, which I thought was pretty steep. But I gave them to him. Okay. Yeah. That's the way it rolls.
Yeah.
Okay. Try to do good things happen to you as best you can.
Right.
I believe in that.
Yeah.
And so they go do their tournament, and I'm fishing on Sunday. Their tournament was Saturday. I get a phone call. Dude, Butch, oh my God. Guess what, man? I go, what? We won the Kachuma tournament. I go, no shit. He goes, yeah, we won $4,600. I go, oh man, that's great. That's good. Happy for you.
Yeah.
Do you think they would have sent me and my wife to go out to dinner? No. You think they would have offered to pay for the baits? No. Nothing like that. What
if he would have just been like, hey man, is there anything I could do for you? I really appreciate it.
Didn't even ask me.
But would that have been sufficient?
That would have been
for you?
sufficient because I said, nah, it's cool. Everything is good. But,
yeah.
But when you get handed $5,000 and you get handed a bait, the way I was brought up is you would say, we just did this because of you and stuff. Do you want that? What kind of reel and rod do you like? Or can I send you and your wife out to dinner?
Yeah, no.
Or can we do this? Or what is what's $500? What's $100?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're done. So then I started learning what this stuff was all about.
You're looking just
I got life educated.
For people... generosity.
Japanese people, they're super generous. It doesn't get any. That's how I got the depths. Mm-hmm. From a guy at the lake that was a depths member, but we could get into that another time because that could get a little involved. But
we should probably start pulling some questions out so you can answer them if you don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right. And Let me look this up. I have one for you right off the bat from John from Stated Anglers. He heard that you would throw Christmas trees in the lake. Is that true?
Yeah.
You'd make your own structures.
Not many, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
would you mark that? Were you using a GPS?
No, I don't even know how to use that.
I
do landmarks.
Everything's landmark.
Everything is landmark. You know,
wow.
I think I put 5 in one time, and then guys would bring them up and put them next to shore and put them halfway in the water, and I would drag them out to where I want them.
Yeah.
You know, and they'd only last a year or so. But you know, trash day comes around, and you see all these Christmas trees, and they say enhance your waters. So I would take them and put a cinder block over the shaft and screw a couple steel studs.
Yeah.
Drag them down to the lake, take them down by the water's edge, and then the next morning I'd go there and pull them off the shore and stick them in.
Wow.
You know, and you know, I let people know where they were.
They'd hold fish, you think?
Right away.
Yeah, really? Yeah,
but I never did get the jumbos in those areas.
They just kind of little guys around.
Yeah,
fives or
you'd
six
drop
or
an aqua view down on it, and there'd be one there within.
Yeah.
You know, because there's not much structure in there.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's see. They didn't put their name, but they said, what makes you better than most at throwing swim baits? What makes you the GOAT?
Self-taught from day one, the passion and just the sheer experience of achieving and catching what I've caught and seeing what has happened in swim baiting.
Yeah.
You know, what I believe in and how to put things together throughout the day, watercolor, wind direction, trout stocks. Okay, the wind's coming out of the south. Okay, so most of the trout don't go all in one direction, but a lot of them go against current. So they're going to go into that south wind. Well, why are all the guys on the lake fishing at the north end? You know, or down that way? You know, well, I'll go over here and hang out on this corner, and then I start getting them over there. Then 2 weeks later comes around, trout stocks comes again. We got a north wind coming. Well, they all knew I caught them off that corner last 2 weeks. They all go over there, but the wind's blowing this way, so I go down and hang out on the ambush spots down at the other end.
They think that you just are a fish whisperer over there.
Putting all that together, and the moon line has everything to do with it, and the hooks you choose on your swim baits have everything to do with it.
That's how about? I have a question. Is it better to throw like a day or two after the trout stocking, or that day?
I like a cut about 2 days after.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's stuff around, but it takes them a while to filter out.
Yeah.
And you know, and you know, the bass at our lake at the time would have ambush spots. You know, whether it be a rock offshore or something, so they would just hang behind there and they'd go filter through and you know, if you're lucky enough to get them. So that's the thing about me at the lake is I know every rock, every nook and cranny in there over all the years. So when I go down a shoreline and you see me casting around, well, I'm going to throw a cast on that side of the cup, cast on that side, one on this side, one on this side, and I'm off to the next.
Yeah.
And I got people tailgating me. Well, they don't know that one little rock is out here in nowhere land.
Yes.
And they can fish all they want.
People actually follow you?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
They're like just coming up right behind you.
I've had them do that. I've had them try to go toe-to-toe with me. I've been anchored on a spot throwing here and had another guy anchor a half a cast away over here and throw in exactly the same spot. And it's like two baits going like this.
Do you ever say, dude, why?
I don't know. I do. But they go, the typical thing is, you don't own the lake.
Oh my God!
You know, blah 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 blah.
What do you think? What's your space? You think is a good space if you're fishing
to observe the angler when you're coming down?
You know, say I'm going to fish in the same area as you.
Yeah.
How far away would you like that guy to be?
Well, at least double the cast.
Okay.
You know, and I give everybody their space. I'm very courteous.
Yeah.
You know, it's the ones that the drop shotters and the Cinco guys and the jig guys, they don't understand how far you can throw a swim bait.
Yeah.
So they encroach a little bit, you know, and then, but in the modern days, you know, because my name is out there and stuff, I just move on someplace else and do my thing.
Why even have the stress of even dealing with that? Yeah.
And you want to know what makes me a little bit better swim baiter than these guys?
What?
I've never tied on or used a Cinco. I have never bought, tied, or used a drop shot. because when they're all doing that, I'm throwing swim baits 24/7, whether it's spring and they're on the beds. I don't even pay attention to those fish, and I'm learning every day as I go. So at the end of all the years I have involved in this, I know exactly where I want to be. You know, whether I got to be offshore, what I can read on my sonar, you know, seeing the two fish hanging together, a big one and a little one.
Yeah.
You know, putting all that together.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. Here's another one. It's Stefan de Mie, I think.
Stefan?
Yeah.
I know Stefan, I think.
Okay.
There's only one person with that name.
Question for Butch. How big of an impact is the moon on big bass? What moon phases lead them to be more active? And does position of the moon, underfoot, setting, etc. play a part in when you choose to fish?
He's too technical. If the moon's out in the daytime, whether it's a quarter, half, full, whatever, my chances of catching a double-digit bass are very, very slim on a swim bait, because that's the only way I've ever learned about this. Okay, it's throwing swim baits, jig, whatever. I don't know. That's I don't have that experience, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. But it's either going to be after the moon goes down, before it comes up. But if it's there in the daytime for you to see, there's better things to be doing.
Like drinking beer, right?
Drinking beer, getting ready,
hanging out with buddies.
Yeah, realizing that I should have got here at 2:00 in the afternoon instead of being here at 8:00 in the morning, because it's going to be out all day. To me, that's sort of how I roll, and it's paid off really good.
Perfect, great. Next one is from Ira Waldman from Portland, Oregon. What is your theory in regards to approaching new bodies of water? Are there certain bait techniques you'll use across all different bodies of water, universal applications? Also, do you believe it's better to focus on one specific body of water, or try different ones to capitalize on different bites happening?
Well, I don't know about the bite thing, because I sort of search my own. But when I go to a lake, I think about if they're getting trout stocks. I'm looking at the ambush spots within a distance of where that's at, you know. I like fishing a lot of riprap kind of stuff, but it's a search kind of thing. I like shallow, long sloping points, maybe with some rock on the side. You gotta fish a lake a lot to learn what's underneath it, as far as channels and high spots and things like that. Like versus the afterbay, I know every nook and cranny under there, so I know every turn that the channel makes and what's on it and things like that.
And you're using GPS when you're doing that, or no? I'm not sorry,
no.
Fish Finder?
Yeah, but over the years I've learned all of it.
You
but
just
Fish
kinda
Finder, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't usually use a sonar when I fish swim baits. I keep it off, and when I make a cast, I don't touch that trolling motor and tap the.
Why do you think that?
Well, because it sends out a frequency.
Really?
It you know, think about it. Fish have a lateral line.
Yes.
That's how they find things at night. Movement, you know, things like they can't see that black power worm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They know. They know, and a lot of lakes know that at 6 o'clock when those bass boats hit the lake and those motors start up and they start going across the lake, we're done. You know, but before that, they're biting like they're biting.
Yeah,
they know they're not. They didn't get that big for no reason.
Yeah,
and you know, and as you're sitting here talking to me, everything that I'm saying is about big bass. You know, I'm not speaking about the small stuff
or something like
any
that.
of that stuff. I'm talking double digit and up.
Yeah,
is what I've learned.
Okay, great. Let's see. This is the same thing as the moon, but it says barometric pressure. Is that a big?
I don't pay attention to any of that stuff.
Okay. That was one.
You got to fish.
You're going to fish when you can, right?
Yeah.
This one is from $2 Haul 11 on Instagram. What are your top 3 favorite swim baits for catching bass? And how do you like to fish them?
Top 3 is the Huddleston.
Mm-hmm.
The Depths 250 glide bait, and it's sort of a toss-up because I have like a top 5.
Okay, yeah, just say top 5 then. That's
top
fine.
5 on the surface is the original wood Castaic Chubby Cheeks.
Wow.
It gets bit, clear water, summertime, super hot. They come out of nowhere when it's bleak as bleak could be. Mm-hmm. The thumper tail I use a lot to find fish. I get bit on it a lot offshore down, but it helps me, like on the question about if I got to a new lake, what would I do?
You're throwing a thumper tail.
Well, I need to search. I need to find followers. I need to see what's going on. The thumper tail I can throw out. I can get it at a depth. I can retrieve it. I can see fish come up on it. I can, sort of figure out, okay, this point had fish, that point that has fish, and then I can come back later on at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, new lake to me, and I can go over here and say, okay, well, there was fish here. I'm going to throw a slide swimmer in here. I'm going to give that a try. And if that's not working, I'll go to the other side, try it uphill. I'll do this. Just try to put something together.
Yeah. Perfect. This is one I wanted to ask you too. So, Butch, what makes your spinnerbait different and special? Would you ever sell them?
I've never sold a bait that I have made. And if they ask me for the spinnerbait, I would give them a couple if they get a hold of me on Facebook. But I make about 200 to 300 a year, and then I have a handful of guys over the years that I've given them to. And actually, they fished them this week at Pyramid in the tournament, and it's just one color, and I've caught fish up to 16 pounds on it.
Wow!
They eat the crap out of it. When I go to a lake and a new lake or something, and the fishing is horrible, and I just want to know if there's really a bass in this lake. If I put that spinnerbait on and I let it sink down and slow roll it or do whatever I need to do that time of year, I'll get one within a half an hour.
Wow.
And then I know they do exist. Okay, put it down and now go back to what I was doing before. But it's pretty much just one color. It's a tandem blade. When I fished the night tournaments, I used to use black ones, but now I just use the color that I make. It's a bassy looking color, and I'll go through between 18 and 25 a night.
Wow.
'Cause
you're throwing them to try to get stuck.
They're stuck in trees. They're everywhere, man. My partner looks at me and he goes, somebody can come and run the shore and just pick spinnerbaits up everywhere.
I think that's like, I made A-rigs when I fished a tournament for Calico. I made, I think, 15 of them. And I'm like, I'm going to throw them like I'm going to lose them. I don't care.
I make my own A-rigs.
Right, because you got to throw them like you're going to lose them. It's like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just bend the wire and then put the a crimp, slide it over, and then crimp them?
No, I brazed on mine.
Oh, you did?
I brazed and put a head on them, everything.
Oh, you got fancy.
And then I put a swivel on the head, like a big Spro one. So then I molded my head over the Spro swivel.
Oh, sweet.
It came out cool. They're great. And I got that Dubro bender.
Yeah.
That thing works great.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been a lot of wire, heavy wire too, like 0.06.
Yeah, bass don't need all that.
I just do it because I think for the sand bass will spin,
Oh yeah. Mine are made with light wire, and then when it's going and then you jerk it how the ball of bait closes itself up.
Yes.
And then that's what we like.
That's what my friend Joe told me the same thing.
Then you get the reaction.
Yeah. Here's let's see. How many different lakes does Butch have a double-digit bass from, and what is his most memorable fish? Well, I think we talked about the 19 is the most memorable, right?
That's probably the most memorable. And of the lakes, there's probably 10 lakes I've caught double-digit fish out of. I'm not done yet.
Here's a good question. Butch, do you believe there is still room for innovation in the swim bait industry in regards to the products themselves? Or has every niche already been filled? For example, has every swim bait that anyone could ever need to catch fish already been made, i.e. the Hundleston, or do you believe there are still swim baits that could come along and change the game?
I think there's always room for a game changer, because the beginning game changer, well, one was an AC plug, but when it came to, I wouldn't call that a swim bait though. Swim bait to me is a rubber bait, but when Osprey came out, Steve Harner, his were... didn't have a weighted head, and they swam through. And I still keep in contact with him to this day. Okay, which was a completely game changer for that type of application. Then Sean Donovan came along, who owned Optimum. Well, he put a jig head inside of his, and it was able to get down, and that changed the whole thing right there again. Then Kenny Huddleston comes along and makes his boot tail, and then makes his baits look a little more correct. And that was a game changer. Then you're thinking, well, what's going to happen now? Then they come out with what you've always thought about, here's the Rapala, beautiful looking bait, but it's got this lip on it. Too bad it wouldn't work without that lip on it. Then it'd look a lot more natural. Well, they come out with the frickin' glide bait.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you go, oh my God. And then the rubber skin and the way it's all done, and every new bait that comes out like that, the fish react to it right off the get-go. Like they just swim up next to it and they're just looking at it, man. They've never seen that before. But I think every bait maker since the 250 came out, seems like once that hits out and the other stuff, they all want to knock that type of thing off. No one is thinking ahead of the game. And I've been lucky enough to be attached to almost all of those big baits in a special way, especially the Huddleston and the Butchs 250. When it came to the Osprey, well, Steve Harner, when I went down, when he sold the company, he gave me 5 55-gallon drums of rubber ingots, pre-colored, because it was called hazardous waste, but he had to get rid of it. So I have a lifetime supply of rubber. Well, when I got in his shop, I realized that he had a mobile hanging there with my baits and my colors, and that's how he got a lot of his ideas on the colors. So that was an influence there. And then Sean Donovan, well, he was with Optimum, and he passed away, but before he debuted his bait at the Fred Hall show, which he sold the shit out of them, he threw me 2 baits offshore. He threw me a 10-inch and another one, and they had fins on the back. And he said, give those a try. Okay, well, I got them, and I fished them, and then they were a little stiff. They didn't quite work right, but then I went back and remolded them, and then poured them myself, and then changed a few things, and then I started fishing that. And that was my go-to bait, was that thumper tail look, Well, lo and behold, after Huddleston, I get involved with the Matt, who owns Optimum, who bought it from Sean James, or Sean Donovan, and I'm in with the Butchs 250. He's my importer. He's sort of my boss in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, man, I go, after about a year or two into this and how much I appreciated everything that came my way, I was like, let me try to put back in the pot what I've got out of this. I said, Matt, I have a go-to bait that I never sold or gave to anybody. And they used to talk about it once in a while because I'd give one to somebody. And I said, it's this bait right here. And he looked at it, and mine had a fin on it. Well, it was one that Sean Donovan had.
Yes.
And I said, Sean Donovan made these, but these are one of a kind. And he goes, I didn't get the molds for those. I've never seen those before. And then that's how all that got started.
Yeah.
And so, but that bait, I used to just whoop some butt on it. But see, I make it out of a lot softer plastic.
Yeah.
In order to make money, they have to pour it in faster and stuff because of
it's got to last a little longer, right? I mean, because you don't want someone to get a bite and you're like,
the thing with the Huddles, the thumper tail, is the way that the head is rigged with the top hook. Well, I came up with that when I fished with the Huddleston. Called it the Butch Brown rig. Okay, super successful. Saltwater oriented. I know how to crimp. I know my wire, But back then, the wire was made in Long Beach, California. Okay, 7-strand is made in China now. So now I use Mason products. Mason wire. It's all American made.
Okay.
And their sleeves are a lot smaller for the actual size of the other ones.
Okay.
So they're the whole key was keeping that beautiful bait to look as stealthy and as clean and as natural as possible. Because those fish, they have eyeballs that big, man. They see all that stuff. And so Matt wanted to have the way that I rig it on the top. And I told him, I said, well, it could be a little bit an issue because these guys got to learn how to crimp. It's not a lifetime rigging.
Yes.
I change my hook almost every fish I catch unless it's small.
Yeah.
I won't take a chance on a big one. Well, it's sort of a bait for an advanced fisherman, because you got to be dedicated enough to buy yourself a crimping set and everything and be able to learn how to do that yourself.
Yeah.
And I try to show people and turn them in the right direction, but I use the VMC hook on that because it's a round bend, but the round bends are wider and the barb is bigger for a size one hook versus a Gamakatsu. The Gamakatsu, when you try to bend the lower half, it usually snaps, but the barbs are very, very small, almost like they're barbless.
Okay.
They're bitch and hook.
Yeah.
They're good for other things.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the thumper tail, I learned that because it has bigger barbs, when you drive that hook in that fish, well, when he comes up and shakes, he doesn't throw it out.
Yes.
They were throwing out the other one.
Okay.
Because that's 6 ounces or whatever that the fish is throwing everywhere. But that hook stays in them. And that's how I evolved into that style hook. And it's not the only hook that I use. I use the Gamakatsu on the Depths 250 wide gap bronze hook. And the reason for that is I think that bronze hooks blend in better with the environment versus a black or a silver, because if you figure all these guys want to use these black hooks, well, when you look at a swim bait that's got a white belly going along, what do you see? 2 black things hanging down like this. Well, the VMC the Gami is a light wire hook. So, and it's also not offset, so when it lays flat, 2 hooks are coming up the side, one's hanging down. Well, when you use the slide swimmer and you just go, oh, so nice, that hook just tucks right under there and you don't even see it. Yeah. And it tricks them. Yeah. And I every video I have, there it is. These are little things people should be paying attention to, especially, when they're... I thought that, I'm not the guy that's going to come out and tell you, this is what you got to do, that's what you got to do, this is the way it is in the winter, this is this. Nobody has all the answers. Yeah. But if you watch, you can learn. And I thought that that's what people would do, is they would learn, observe, and figure it out without me having to even say anything. Yeah. But, not everybody I found is quite like that. So, but that's how you learned how to land them, hook them. Yeah. If I tell you I'm using this hook, I'm not lying to you. Yeah. There it is right there. I'm not going to run you astray for anything. So. Let's check out the baits, because you got to talk about what you're doing at the Fred Hall show. Yes. Let's talk about, this is the collaboration with Swim Bait Underground then, correct? That is the collaboration. You can hold it up and talk about it. This is the collaboration bait that's coming out in about a month. It's called a Golden Shiner. There's a matte finish and there's a clear finish. And the collaboration is on the top, it has Swim Bait 24/7 /SU Swim Bait Underground. Mm-hmm. So actually I got my name attached to this bait here, and hopefully they've got a future and they'll be making more, but they're in limited editions. They're the exclusive distributor of this bait. It's not going to be in a tackle shop. It's not going to be any place like that, but it's the Golden Shiner. And like I said, you'll only be able to get that on Swim Bait Underground? Swim Bait Underground's the only cat in town that has it. Okay. And that's it. And they have two same color, but a matte finish, and this is the clear finish here. And I've swam it. It swims really nice. There's my tie right there. But yeah, this is meant to attract more people out of state that have shiners and things like that, and it's going to work in our waters too. Yeah. And there's my Gamakatsu hooks already on there, ready to go. Oh, it's already rigged up with what you like. Well, no, I did that myself. I take their hooks right off. But there's what's a 2.0 on the front and a 1.0 on the back. What's the actual size or type? Do you have the hook number? It's called a Gamakatsu Browns wide gap hook. Okay, perfect. Yeah, there's a number, but I don't never pay any attention to that kind of stuff. But you could see, you don't see all that black and all that stuff there, and that's what hangs down when it swims, because it's light wire. And you know what, you got to start thinking, fishermen need to think about getting bit, especially in our lakes, because they're so heavily beat, that you need to think about what you're doing. You can fish those big, beautiful, heavy hooks, and if you're going to fish stripers, I get it, I understand it. But if you're going to fish largemouth bass, there'll be times when they bend this hook. Okay, they bend it in the net, or they might bend it. You take it off and you replace it. But at the end of the year, you'll get bit more with this hook and have more fish under your belt than if you fish the other stuff. Yeah. And they need to get that nothing lasts forever. Yes. So you'd rather be using a lighter hook on this on something, and then change it out more often. Put all the odds in your favor. Yeah. I fish fluorocarbon, put everything, stack the deck as high as you can
fish fluoro?
On your side. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Cigar Brazex is my favorite.
What size?
20 is I've never fished anything bigger than 20.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I get it too. Hey, if you got to go 25 and 30 because you don't want to throw $160 off,
Yeah.
I get it. I don't have to worry about that, but I still don't lose baits. I make sure I retie at least every hour. A Palomar knot is what I use, and I don't lose them.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and if you look at any of my videos, you can clearly see how hard I pull on these fish. I give them nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
They're not tuna, they're not calicos, but yeah.
So you have they're both 175, 250?
They have the 175, and that's the 250.
Okay. And
I don't fish the 175s that much. You know, I don't fish the smaller fish.
Why? Just because it's a smaller?
Yeah, if I fish the littler bass, smallmouth, and things, I'll fish it. But when I go fishing, I want to go catch the biggest fish I can catch, or I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
And I'll get up the next day and do it again.
Yeah.
And do it again and do it again. I've been around so much in my life catching small fish from being 4 years old on up that, it just doesn't get me going. I would rather go for the big.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. I don't get, I just don't. Some of these guys I see at the lake, they got these $60,000-$70,000 bass boats, and they want to catch fish like this all day long, and they're happy with it. And hey, more power to them. They're paying for everything, but I'm not wired that way.
No.
I want to hold the lifetime in my hand. I don't want to sit there and and go like this. I got this one today, so that's sort of how I roll.
Yeah.
And then, but that's in about a month. And
that's coming out during Fred Hall.
I believe it's coming out right before it, or right in that zone.
Okay.
If you go to Swimbait Underground, they'll be getting you posted. This is probably the first time, I don't know when this will air, but that anybody's ever going to see.
This will air on Monday.
Anybody will probably never see this bait. You'll be the first one to show everybody.
Yeah.
So pretty neat. This is the first time they've ever put the logo on the back. They asked me that years ago if I wanted my name on the bait, and I told them no. And they asked me why, and I said, well, when I used to buy a chugger and a bait like that, it always used to say Jimmy Houston on the bottom or Bill Dance, and I go, it used to bother me because that's what the fish see.
Yeah.
And I'm all about clean and stealth and natural.
Yes.
When it comes to, because I'm after big bass.
Yeah.
And I think that the less you have on there is okay. But this little bit of white here, if you can see the bait out there and detect it, and then it'll just be fine.
So there's that writing's for a reason to you, because you could see that little bit of white helps.
That's what a lot of those guys put that little white on the top, so they could, if they're waking it way back there, they can see it swim. When I test a bait that I'm tuning for somebody, I put a little piece of white tape on the back, and I can see exactly where that thing's going, and I know how it's going to work before I even send it. Every one I fix, I test at the lake. I drive to the lake, I test it, I swim it, I adjust it, I go back, I come back again if I have to, then I package it up, drive to the post office, and send it back to that person.
Nice.
So, and the post office is a 14-mile round trip for me. So they're getting a good deal.
Great.
The other bait here is the kokanee that just came out, and I don't know if they're all sold out yet, and they make it in the 175 also. Okay, and that's a Butch Brown kokanee.
Okay.
And next year we might change it. Usually I come out with 4 new colors a year: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And being as we're in California, I come out with 2 new trout patterns, or I'll go 1 new trout pattern, and then I'll go with like the original flash trout, because that seems to be the hottest bait out there. But I change it up, and bass fishermen always want to buy the latest and greatest, it seems like. But they're all in limited editions. It's not like we glut the market, so they sell quickly. And if you ever been to a hatchery, you can see that there's a lot of room for different colors.
Yeah.
And I've got samples at home that are all I have to do is send them over, and they'll go ahead and make them. But this will probably be also at the Fred Hall show at the Optimum booth. But another thing that's happening at the Fred Hall show is Okamura, the owner of Depths, is going to be there for one day. He's going to be in the booth next to us, which is Bass Brigade Japan, and he will sign autographs. You can meet the man that invented this bait, came up with it, and then I get to fish with him 2 days before the show, and then he's going to be flying back, and so that's a pretty neat thing. It's a big deal for these guys.
Oh yeah.
They over in Japan, it's these shows are, and these bait makers are. It's a big.
Have you gone to a lot of the shows in Japan?
No, I haven't been to any.
Really?
Because I sort of didn't want to go, but this year they said, you ready to do that?
Hey,
and I said,
you got to go this year.
I said, yeah, because I know Satan, from with his baits, and then he's with Optimum, and then also the Depths people. So they said they'll treat you like a king over there, and
I'm sure the sushi's really good. Huh?
That's what I heard. And they said that if you go over there, and that's a big fishing community over there, and the way I look at it in swim baiting is I'm one of the few that's got a good sponsor for this type of industry, And
the way you went about it to get your sponsorship is pretty good way, like a good way to go about it.
I didn't pursue it like having to put stuff out there and say, what do you got for me now? It was all pre-done, and it was all for passion. And if it didn't work out, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And but it all parlayed out into what it did, and I can't be more thankful of any of all that's happened, And I know there's guys out there that think that this should be like in the skateboard or another. These guys are making $1 million, on roller skates or wakeboards or this. Why can't a swim baiter do that? Well, it's it's cost a lot of money to come up with that kind of stuff. You need to be, maybe I'm the beginning to help others step up to keep going, because there's a lot of younger people that have a lot of life in front of them that can maybe learn from the way I went about it and can capitalize on that up the line. Just never know.
I think a good way to do it, my personal opinion, is to be on Instagram a lot.
Yeah.
Because people are going to look at that. You have a good following already, so it's like a great following. If you start posting some of the stuff on Instagram and going, hey, here's Butch, you just got to learn that little piece,
I have never posted on Instagram. Somebody did that for me, that set it up for me.
Yeah.
And then the other day, a buddy of mine, I said, how does this work? And then even yesterday, another friend came over and he showed me. And then they said, well, you need to remember your password. Well, then I said, can I change it? And he goes, yeah. And then I changed it. Well, it turned out that was the original password. He goes, no, you're already in. So now I know how it all works. And he goes, look, you got 10,000 followers all here, and you haven't talked to anybody. You don't even follow anybody. And I go, what is that? And he goes, well, this guy here and this guy. Do I follow everybody? He goes, no, don't follow everybody. He says, but
just follow people that you like or you're interested in.
Yeah,
like Swim Bait Underground or Bass Brigade.
Yeah, it's a learning thing. And just like Facebook was a learning thing for me. But it seems like my whole life in the swim bait world has all been unforeseen.
Yes.
And it seems like I fall into the right places at the right time. Like once the swim bait thing started taking, I learned how to use the internet. Then I learned about these sites.
Then
I got familiar with there. Then I learned how Facebook worked and parlayed that into what it is, because you can have 5,000 friends, but there's another 15 or 20,000 that are just it just goes off the hook. Even the messages, just somebody gives me a message one day, and then I
can't find it
2 days later, and it's so far down that I can't get back to all of them.
Yeah.
And but they say you need to get that page made, But things are so simple for me. I can go fishing, I can do my thing, and I can do what I do here, and it all works.
Yeah.
And I don't have, I guess it's this Instagram, now that you're saying it, and my other two buddies have said, three actually, my worker said something to me about it. He says, it's just pictures, Butch. It's just this, it's just that. And I go, okay, all right, then when I get ready for this, then we'll go ahead and
I think it's probably quicker and easier to do it on Instagram than it is Facebook, to me. And you could put like little 1 minute videos. So you had a clip, you could put it up really quick. You catching the fish going, hey guys, or something.
But you got to do that off your iPhone.
You could do it off any phone. You could do it off the computer too.
Oh, you can do it off the computer onto the Instagram?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Because I asked him about that last night when I did that thing yesterday morning.
Yeah.
I said, well, maybe I could do this right here. And he goes, oh, well, okay. I think you got to do it off your phone. See, so he wasn't advanced as the next guy.
I think maybe I'm wrong. I think I've done it because I would edit the video sometimes, but then I just shoot them from my computer to my phone. Do them that way, but I don't know. There's got to be an easy way to do it, but
I try to make everything as simple as possible. Right. When I met with Shay, and he used to do editing for like the Huddleston rigging video, and then him and me did one for some other stuff. And he said, and he did the promo for the Psycho trout. He did that for me. And then he says, you need to go get yourself a Mac.
We do.
And he says, get the 15-inch. You don't need the big one. He goes, I do everything off of this. And he goes, it's already got iMovie on there and this and that. And then I learned how to do that. And I'm slowly learning how to push other buttons. So you have a Mac then, right? Yeah, I've learned off of Mac.
And you have an iPhone?
I have an iPhone.
Okay, so then this is what you do is when you... I'm giving them a little class right now. All you got to do is I make the movies. I'll make a promo for this. Mm-hmm. And then put it on Instagram. You just share it straight to your phone. So once you're done, you click AirPlay, share.
Yeah,
yeah, that's all you got to do, and then you can upload to Instagram right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids have all moved out, so I can't go to them anymore and ask them how to do something.
Yeah.
I got to wait till they come and visit and do their thing. But the good thing about them all moving out is now I've got my saltwater room back. I got my fishing office back. I got my bathroom back. I got all my little rooms together. There's nice to have a little lair,
I wish I had one.
With all your stuff. It's pretty cool. But it's, it's just something I need to educate. Yeah. If I'm going to go all in, then that's what I need to do. But life has been so easy for me without trying.
Yeah.
Everything I do is with the rod.
Yeah.
I don't have to go and do this and do that. But I know when I get ready to retire that I'd like to step into the picture a little bit more and then get a little more involved with it.
Yeah.
Because that can be an income, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
or even tuning baits, man. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, so, that's all passion. There's no money in that.
Yeah.
That's a beer,
That's just as good payment.
Yeah, it is. Can be.
If you have something to tell everyone, one thing you want to tell everyone that's listening, what would you want to tell them?
Just always have faith. Every cast, you never know when it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. If you really want to get a big bite, and you have a camera in the boat, turn it off. And it'll happen. I guarantee it, because it's happened to me many times.
Yeah.
But just have the passion at what you do, and don't try to play one thing into a whole future. Nibble it at a little bit of a time and get a foothold on it, and go from there, and come onto a podcast like this, which this is probably the most relaxing, nicest interview I've ever done, and actually probably my second one, and it was this week, but this one you make me feel very comfortable, like I can go into a lot of other things, but
we want to do more. It'll be fun, because it'd be cool to bring Robert by and talk about stripers. You guys can kind of talk about stories. There's plenty.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on doing a lot more, so we could do something. I could even come to you, because I could do it remote. It's not hard.
Well, this is not a bad drive. This was pretty cool for me.
That's cool.
Yeah, especially on a holiday like this.
Right.
Yeah, that was good.
But check out Butch on. So the baits will be on Swim Bait Underground. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be at Fred Hall too.
Be at Fred Hall. I think I'll be there. Well, I'll be there when it starts. I think it starts on the 3rd, which is a Wednesday. The 3rd or the 4th. But I'll be there Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Mm-hmm. They give me prime time every year, 6:00, and then I get to go home, and then Sunday I get to the show early and walk around. I get out of there at 12. But I'll be up at the tank throwing the 250 thumper tail, just pretty much telling you exactly what I do, what I believe in, what I've learned, and that's it. The lines I use, the hooks, why, any questions that you might have.
Great.
So you can come and see that kill a few minutes and see me at the booth for a while, and then I pretty much get out of there before closing.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll be there at the Performance Tackle booth.
Perfect.
Selling shirts, so I'll probably come by and see you and watch your seminar for sure.
Maybe I can wear one of your shirts up there.
That'd be great.
Got double X?
I'll get you one. Trust me, real quick.
They're comfortable.
I'll mail it to you.
I never had a double X till a couple of weeks ago.
How good do they
they're
feel?
nice.
All right. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, Butch, and we'll see you soon. And this will be out on Monday.
Thank you for having me.